Welcome everyone. We will be talking about reengineering in this video. Everything to do with reengineering. So, what is reengineering? It is a business process. It is BPR, one of the buzzword of late 80s and 90s. Achievement of drastic improvement by changing the processes or incorporating certain processes which were basically which were duplicated. So probably if we eliminate all kind of duplication of works, we are not only making the process faster, quicker, and responsive, but we are enhancing re-engineering process altogether. So achieve drastic improvement by completely redesigning the core business process. BPR was business process reengineering has been subject to numerous articles, books, and classical example. Reengineering work don't automate, it obliterate, basically gets rid of. Michael Hammer states in Harvard Business Review way back in 1990. The new industrial engineering, Davenport, short, slower management reviews, says what is all about new business process reengineering. It's a new industrial engineering. The BPS success stories, if there are, let me recount them. We have been able to cut the headcount by 75%. We have mutual benefit life insurance provides improved underwriting efficiency by 40%. We have talking about Xerox redesigning its order fulfillment process and improve service level by 75 to 97, whooping 97%. The cycle time by 70%. With an inventory seven of more than 500 million. Detroit Edison reduces payment cycle for the work orders by 80%. Now, there cannot be only be success stories. There has to be certain failures because a coin has two sides. So, failures is an estimate of 50 to 70% of all re-engineering projects have actually faltered, failed. Those that succeed takes a long time to implement, long time to be realized that it is a successful essence. So reasons for BPL failure because it's a lack of support from senior management, poor understanding of the organization and infrastructure, inability to deliver necessary technology, lack of guidances, motivation, focus. We're talking about fixing a process instead of changing it, neglecting people values, people's belief per se, willingness to settle for marginal results, quitting too early, absolutely too early, allowing existing corporate cultures and management attitudes to prevent redesign, not assigning enough resources. This is a cardinal sin, I may say so. Working on too many projects continuously, or should I say simultaneously, trying to change the process without making anyone unhappy. We are looking out here, pulling back when people are resisting changes thereby. So, what does it take to be a successful or ensure success with business process reengineering? Hammer and Chappie say the role of the senior management is vital. It's very crucial. Empirical research indicates organization which displays understanding, commitment, or strong executive leaderships are more likely to succeed with process reengineering projects. Common themes in successful reengineering efforts: firm uses business process reengineering to grow business rather than retrench. Firm emphasizing serving customers, compete aggressively with quantities, with qualities of products and services. Firm emphasizes getting more customers, more work, more revenues instead of downsizing per se. So allow me to draw relationship and its reengineering with other quality improvement programs, if I may say so. So, what is reengineering? The fundamental rethinking, the fundamental radical redesigning of business processes to achieve dramatic improvement in critical contemporary measures of performances, such as quality, such as cost, such as service, such as speed of delivery. This was stated by Hammer Champy way back in 1993. A number of similar definitions also exist. Reengineering characteristic focuses on the core competencies or values adding business processes. The goal is to achieve dramatic improvement through rapid and radical redesign and implementation. Project that yields only marginal improvement and drag out over time of failures from reengineering perspective. We continue with the same thing about reengineering and relationship with other improvement program. Look what we are looking into it. In cases of right sizing, restructuring, automation, TQM, total quality management, and reengineering, what are the assumptions? In case of right sizing, it is staffing. In case of restructuring, it's the reporting relationships. What is automation is technological application. TQM is all about customer requirements. Reengineering is basic fundamental things. What are the focus of changes? In right sizing, staffing, again, probably pruning of staff or allocating quality staff. Instead of restructuring is organizing the reporting relationship, making it leaner, making it taller, making it smaller, wider organization. It can be automation is all about system. What about total quality management is bottom up improvement. But in re-engineering, it is radical changes, absolute change that we are looking into it. Similarly, for orientation, for right sizing, it's functional. For restructuring, it's functional. For automation, is absolutely on a procedure basis. Total quality management would be looking at processes. Re-engineering too would be looking at processes. Role of IT, the right sizing is often blamed. Occasionally, you would emphasize in restructuring automation. That is the core about it. It's all about speed of the existing system. Total quality management is incidental, but in re-engineering, the speed is of vital importance. The IT is of vital importance. Improvement goal is right sizing is usually smaller, steady, and incremental. Restructuring is also the same case. Automation, probably over a period of time, it becomes more or less the same cases. So does with total quality management. But in re-engineering, it is absolute, it is sudden, it is dramatic, it is absolutely significant. Frequency. Right sizing is usually done once in a blue moon. Absolutely. Restructuring, again, the same scenario. Automation, probably every time a technology comes in, you may start to innovate or probably start to change. Total quality management might be continuous, but re-engineering usually one time. So what are we looking in terms of time and improvement, which is plotted on X and Y axis, respectively? It is all about incremental improvement. Then comes the sudden change. You see the incremental improvement, then the sudden change as a theoretical. And this is what we are trying to do about it as far as BPR is concerned. The statistical process control, or should I say, the radical changes that takes places is in business process reengineering. So when should be a process be re-engineered? There are three C's that the company drives towards redesigning. What are they? They are customers. They are becoming increasingly more demanding, increasingly more finicky. Their competition has intensified, has become hard to predict. And the last one is change in technology, change in constant pressures from competitors, from customers, from new designs, flexibility and ability to changes. So there are three things: customers, competition, and changes as far as Hammer and Chappie says around it. So useful question to ask. Cross 1994 says, are customer demanding more for less, value for money, if I may say so? Are competitor providing more for less? That is what the question. Can you hand carry a job through a process much faster than the normal cycle time? 5 times faster, 10 times faster? Have your incremental improvement efforts been stalled? Have technology investment been a disappointment? Are you planning to introduce a radical new product, new services, or to serve a new market? Are you in danger of becoming unprofitable, or should I say unsustainable? Have a cost cutting program failed to turn the ship around? If that is the case, are operations to be merged or consolidated? Are core business process getting fragmented or dilapidated? That is the question that goes around it. Process are re-engineered, but not the organization. Confusion arises because organizational units are well defined, processes are not. Formal processes are prime candidates for re-engineering. Formal processes are guided by written policies. Informal processes are never. Typically involves the several department of many employees, more likely rigid, and therefore are likely to be based on invalid assumptions. Allow me to give you the screening criteria. What is dysfunctional? When processes are in deepest of trouble, must be broken, must be efficient. What are we looking into it? When the processes are very vital, very important, which process have the greatest impact to the customers or the profitability? The last one will be all about feasibility. Watch processes are currently likely to be most successfully re-engineered. What are we looking out here? We are talking about system and diseases of broken processes. Let me give you the system: extensive information exchange, data information, data redundancy. Diseases, arbitrary fragmentation of natural process. We're talking about inventory, buffers, and other assets. Systems lack to cope up with uncertainty. High ratio of checking and controlling of value adding. Fragmentations. We're talking about reworking, reiterations, inadequate feedback along the chain. These are my systems and these are my diseases if you want to go around it. Because if you don't keep a check, the organization falters, the operation falters. In fact, the business becomes unhealthy or unsustainable. What about the symptom becomes too complex, too exceptional? This is an aggregation of simple process issues. That are the symptoms that we are talking about it. What are the disease? Arbitrary fragmentation. Systems lack to improve. Fragmentations, uncertainty, inadequate feedback, accretions is what happened. Now, how do we remove work upon the importance? Assist by determining issues the customer feels strongly about and identifying which processes most influences this issue. Market is customer issues, product cost, on-time delivery, product features, after-sales services, company processes, product designs and order processing, procurement, all the CRM, the customer relationship management. Let me talk about the feasibility. Feasibility in terms of process, in terms of scope, in terms of project cost, owner's commitment, top management commitment, the strength of the redesign team, your own manpower quality. Larger projects offer potentially higher payoff, but lesser likelihood of success. This is very, the risk reward ratio is skewed. Now, what are we looking at first? Process feasibility. We need to understand the scope, the cost, the team strength, and the top management commitment. This is all what is required for the feasibility of the business process reengineering. The process paradox refers to the decline in the failures of business that have achieved dramatic improvement through the process engineering. To avoid getting caught in such process paradox, companies must get the process right every now and then. This is what we are trying to go around it. Now, what are we looking? In general, keywords for successful BPR is creative innovation. But BPR projects also need structures and discipline, preferably achieved by the following and a well thought out approach. What are we looking as far as Robert has stated? Start with a gap analysis. If there are any gap, this is a gap, and end with the transition of continuously improvement to fill the gap. To fill the gap, the gap analysis focuses only on three questions: the way things should be, the way things are, and how to reconcile the gap between one and two. What are we talking about? The Roberts framework for BPR is opportunity assessment, current capability analysis, process design, risk, impact assessment, transition plan, pilot test, infrastructure modification, implementation and transition, tracking and performances, continuous improvement as the case might be. Let us come with the suggested framework, which is done by Lowenthal in 1994, consists of four phases: preparing for changes, planning for changes, designing for changes, and evaluating changes. Preparing for changes, planning for changes, designing changes, and evaluating changes thereby. Phase one is the goal: building management understanding of what is expected, awareness, support for the changes, preparing for a cultural shift, and acquiring employee buy-ins, understanding, keeping them on the plan, getting their support from the employees. Phase two is all about assumption. Organization needs to adapt constantly because of the changing marketplace. Phase three is the method to identify access and assess the scenario at the same time. We need to map, we need to design everything, the framework of translating the process knowledge into the leaps of change per se. The fourth phase is evaluating performance during the specific time frame, specific period. These are the four phases that comes around here as far as Lowenthal are concerned. So if we look, the pictorial representation is what we are doing about it. Planning and preparing. Phase one and phase two might be going at the same time, hand in hand. Phase three is all about designing. Phase four is after implementation, evaluating the change thereby. So Cross, Feather and Lynch in 1994 has a different take, probably analysis, in-depth understanding of the market. Most importantly, the customer requirement is what we need to do around it. Detailed understanding of how things are done. Where are the strengths? Where are the weakness compared to the competition? Design based on the principle that fall into the six categories: service flow, workflow, workspace, continuous improvement, workforce, and information technology. This is what we are talking about. Service quality is related to customer. Workflow is all about managing the jobs, the flow of jobs. Workspace is all about ergonomics factor, the layout option. Continuous improvement is all about being self-sustaining. Workforce is people, employees integral to the business process and the technology that needs to be worked around it. The third is the implementation stage, transforming the design on a daily operation, on a day-to-day operation, thereby so we have the customer requirement analysis, the baseline analysis, the design specification, the current process review, and the design option, design process. What are we looking into it? This is my study phase or the analysis phase. This is my intriguing phase. This is when I try to discover what is going on. And then comes the design phase, which is all about design principle, all about high level design, detailed design, work breakdown structures happens, the process breakdown build into the computer interfaces feedback, the client interfaces feedback, the customer interfaces feedback, because then only we can go for a pilot new changes, model, validate new design, and transform the business then and there. Transformation of the business is all about the implementation that takes place there. Revolutionary or evolutionary, which changes that goes about it. Remember, evolutionary is small increment. Revolutionary is completely different. So you are situated out here and then you come out here without any changes in between. The reengineering movement advocates radical redesign and rapid revolutionary implementations and change. A revolutionary change tactics turns the whole organization by its head, has the potential to achieve order of magnitude improvement, is very costly, has a high risk of failure. To reduce risk and cost of implementation, many companies end up with strategy of radical redesign. Evolutionary implementation tactics, implementing the feasible plan given current restriction. Implemented process is usually compromised between original process, the ideal blueprint process redesign. What are we looking into it? Elements of evolutionary and revolutionary change theories. Elements, leadership, in terms of evolutionary changes are insiders and revolutionary changes are outsiders. Incremental changes are revolutionary, but outside would be asking you to make a completely radical changes. Outside resources in terms of evolutionary changes are very few, but in revolutionary, it's consultative-led initiative. Absolutely yes. Physical separation in evolutionary, probably no, or part-time members. In revolutionary, yes, off-campus sites are there. You're exposed to the best practices. You are exposed to a different practices altogether in revolutionary. Crisis, there are none because it's a stable system in evolutionary and we are only changing with baby small steps. But in revolutionary, it is poor performances that makes the firms to go for a radical changes. In terms of milestone, evolutionary changes are flexible. In terms of milestone for evolutionary purposes, it is firm and solid. Reward systems is unchanged, but in the evolutionary system, the reward system changes. The IT process changes in revolutionary change process is first criteria, but in revolutionary change, simultaneous process and IT changes are taking places. The critical element in choosing between revolutionary and evolutionary approach is time. If a firm is in a reactive mode, responding to a crisis, a revolutionary approach is the only option. Remember, if it is reacting, it is going downturn, you need to pull up your socks. If in a proactive mode, an evolutionary tactics might change. If you are aware of what is happening with your competitors, with the market, with the customer, you are so slowly and steadily skewing towards the changes. And this is evolutionary changes thereby. So the evolutionary change model, the basic principle, people directly affected by or involved in change process must take active part in design and implementation of that change. Real change is achieved through incremental improvement over time. Change must come from within the organization, should be carried out by current employees, current leadership should be adapted to existing resources and capabilities. Flexible milestone should be based on open and broad communication. New process and procedures are implemented before introducing the new IT system. Advantages of an evolutionary changes tactics compared to a revolutionary approach: less disruptive and risky, increasing the organization ability to change thereby. Disadvantages: takes a long time to see result, does not offer the same potential for order of magnitude improvement. Vision must be kept alive, adjusted over time as an external market condition changes as often as possible. Based on the punctuated equilibrium paradigm, radical change occurring at a certain instances, long period of incremental changes in between. Now, what are we looking as far as revolutionary changes are concerned? It happens absolutely quickly with the spick of an eyelid, alters the very foundation of the businesses, brings disorder, uncertainty, identity crisis, needs to be done from top driven, requires external resources, new perspective, involve tough decisions, cost cutting, conflict resolution. The change team is very small and isolated from the rest of the organization, avoids undue influences from current operation. Communication with people in the process is on a need to know basis. Advantages of revolutionary implementation approach. Drastic results can be achieved quickly. If successful, the ideal blueprint design is put in place. Disadvantages in revolutionary change tactics, very strenuous for the organization. High probability for failures. Diverse top management attention from the external marketplace. Goes against the core value of many organizations. Empowerment, bottom-up involvement, innovations. Secrecy creates uncertainty about future roles of individuals employees. Resistance to change is what we are looking forward to it. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching the same.